The Christmas train has arrived. Let's get festive. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog. It is vlog number 433 for December the 1st, 2025, so we're into it, aren't we? My tree is up, my decorations are up, I'm making plans for Christmas dinner and other events that are coming up, and I'm busy as hell. Yeah, and I know I'm not alone. I know everybody else out there is busy as hell too, because 'tis the season, right? So let's see what I've been busy at besides usual Christmas things. So I finished this Christmas quilt. Well, I finished the top of this Christmas quilt, and there it is. And today I'm hoping to get it onto Lucy and get it quilted. I have a couple of other projects out there, and I'm wondering whether or not I should make this week the week I catch up on UFOs. I have other things to do too, so time will tell. But I'll talk more about this quilt and why the fabric is special in this quilt tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. I've also got, well, part of a project. Actually, I have a little bit more of this done than you see here, but these are the pieces that are making something called the pine cone table runner. And yeah, that's one of the projects that I'm on with my embroidery machine, and I'll say more about it tomorrow. Okay, so let's see. YouTube channel of the week. Well, you know, 'tis the season for looking for gifts for people and all that. And if you've got someone in your household who loves gadgets like I do, or electronics, then you probably have already figured out what you're going to get them for Christmas. And if you haven't, today is Cyber Monday on Amazon. You might want to do some shopping. But in the meantime, in my search for what's new, I found something that is old and very fascinating. And it's called a channel called Our Own Devices. And this is sort of a history channel that looks at the history of certain inventions that have gone out of fashion or have evolved into something else. I find it fascinating. Many of these things you have seen if you're my age, but there's a lot of things on there too that the younger generation, you know, I'm talking teenagers today, wouldn't have a clue what those were. So this is really interesting if you're into gadgets, and well, here's my review of that particular channel. If you like gadgets, and I definitely love gadgets and always have, then you're going to like this YouTube channel. It's called Our Own Devices, and the gentleman who puts this up, called Canadian MacGyver, and he is a Canadian, which is nice to see as well, has put up a lot of old things that we may remember from our childhood, or old things that have entered into the world of antiques that were used by businesses or by the everyday person as, you know, great gadgets for home use or for business use, like mimeograph machines, ditto machines, calculators. In fact, one of these sections has something about a little handheld calculator that I had as a kid, and actually I think my grandmother had one, and I used to play with it for hours. But those were simpler times, and this is basically what this site is about the gadgets that were in the past that were time savers, innovative for their day, and where some of our modern gadgets and things have sprung from. So if you're into that kind of thing, then you want to check out this YouTube channel called Our Own Devices. So you'll find a link to Our Own Devices in the show notes below. You'll also find a link for Sewing with Stephen on Wednesdays. It's always there. I'm always here. Wednesdays, great day. Love it. Look forward to it every week for Sewing with Friends. And we always enjoy making new friends. So don't be shy. Now's a good time to come out to one of the Wednesday sew days to catch up on whatever it is you're trying to catch up on for Christmas, because there's lots of catch up. And there are links for all my friends' YouTube channels, and as well as links to last week's videos that I put out as well. So that takes me to what's happening outside my front door. Well, before I show you that, I'll show you what was happening outside my front door during the weekend. Yes, no. This is Canada. This is December. This is snow. We don't usually see this much snow where I live in southern Ontario this early in the year. Although, having said that, when I was a kid, I remember snowfalls in November. But, maybe it's climate change. Maybe it's my memory going. I don't know. But anyways, it is very pretty because we have the forest behind us. However, it does not look like that today. Oops. Let me see here if I can. Here we go. Here's what it looks like now today. You can see a lot of the snow has melted away. Walter was busy out there getting things cleared off, but really Mother Nature did a lot of the clearing because we had rain yesterday. And I hate rain on snow for a lot of reasons. One, it makes the snow really heavy. We call it packing snow. Snow that you can make snow forts and snowmen out of. And if you're a kid, it's great. If you're an adult, it is really a pain in the butt to shovel because it's as heavy as all get out. It's like moving around a bag of bricks. Now, is this going to last like this? Well, this may be even more as the day goes on if it warms up. But right now, we're talking that it's 8 degrees, minus 8 degrees C. So that's roughly 16, about 24, 34. No, sorry, 24 degrees Fahrenheit. So frosty, below freezing. And looking at the forecast for today, we're supposed to have sun from about 8 a.m. right through to lunchtime, and then it's going to cloud over again for pretty much the rest of the day. Temperatures are not going to get too high. We're not going to go above 0 Celsius, where our high is -3. If there's any wind chill out there, it's going to be frosty. So I'm debating right now whether I'm going to go out this morning and do my walk, or I'm going to wait till later in the afternoon. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, -8 sounds cold. Well, it is cold. But, when you get down into -20 and below, and the people out in Western Canada certainly know what that's all about, or Northern Ontario. Yeah, so we'll see. Looking at the rest of the forecast, well, tomorrow there is a 70% chance of snow, but a high of about 1 degree. Okay, and then the rest of the week is looking around anywhere from -1 to +1 until we hit Sunday. And on Sunday, -2, and it's showing rain. Well, at -2, that rain could be freezing rain, which is even worse. You don't want to live through freezing rain, okay? It just makes everything horrible. So we'll see. But the temperatures, for the most part, for the next week are hovering around 0 and below. So, yeah, welcome to December in Canada. Okay. So, what's pissing me off? Well, this was something that ticked me off when I went into a Chick-fil-A and I was standing in line waiting to order at the counter. There were 3 young guys, teenagers, high school age guys, all clustered together standing at the order desk. There was only one person on the order counter, and she was desperately trying to do her job with them, trying to get their orders. And she saw me standing in behind. I was being patient. However, these boys were all on their cell phone. And then there was some kind of loud discussion about whether they were going to go here, there, or whatever, or pick somebody up that's on the phone. And they were having a 3-way conversation with themselves, plus 2 of them were having conversations on their cell phone, all at the same time. And it was at a certain volume level that basically they were oblivious to anybody else in the restaurant. I was getting a little patient because they put in their order, or at least it seemed they'd put in their order, all of them, and they're still standing there. Now, see, at Chick-fil-A, they bring your order to your table. Or if you're taking it out, you go off to the side, there's a counter there, and you stand there and wait, and they bring it out to you. It's not rocket science to figure this out, but apparently it was for these young men, because they were oblivious to everything. And the frustration in the staff person's face was definitely readable. But she was being polite. She was doing her job. And I always find in Chick-fil-A, anyways, they are always very, very polite. So it's one reason I go there, even though it's an American corporation. And I like their milkshakes. Anyways, I digress. So they're not moving. Walter's got our table. He's sitting there waiting. I want to put in my order. So I said to the guys, now I have to say I was a little gruff. I didn't yell at them or anything, but I looked at them and I said, and there's this one tall boy, and I was looking directly at him and I said, "Are you finished ordering? Because if you are, could you step away?" And the kid looked at me and I said, I'm in a bit of a hurry. If you're done, move. And one kid who wasn't done yet. He was one that was buried very deeply into his phone. So he says, "No, I haven't ordered yet." And I says, "Well, get on with it." Now, I probably had a teacher look on my face at the time, because those three guys, I know the tall one, he wanted to say something. He looked like he had attitude. But I think he thought twice. I must have had what I used to call when I was a teacher, attitude readjustment face on. Like, "Oh no, kid, not today. You might be tall, you might be young, but don't screw with me." So the other kid that was buried in his phone ordered, and off they went. But this made me really think. Well, first of all, I felt a little bad about having to be gruff. Now, I wasn't swearing at them. I wasn't making a scene, but I was definitely in teacher mode. And I thought, they're kids. They may be big kids, but they're still kids. And kids today are oblivious to everything around them. And if I think back to when I was their age, I suppose I was fairly oblivious as well to what was going on. That's how kids are. That's how teenagers are. However, the one thing we didn't have when I was a teenager was electronic devices, i.e. cell phones, that diverted our attention from whatever we were doing. And our parents also taught me, well, my parents did anyways, taught me to be polite to older people, show them a little respect. And if my parents ever caught me not being respectful, well, you know what would happen. I'd get my clock clean, so to speak. So, yeah. And I'm thinking, well, why are they this way? Well, they're numb. I didn't say dumb. I said numb, although numbness can lead to dumbness. Hey, I get that printed on a t-shirt. Because they are just buried in the electronics. They have no sense of who other people are, what they should do around other people. They lack social skills. They really do. And whose fault is that? Well, you know what I'm going to say. Parents. Where do we learn our social skills? We start out anyways learning them from our parents. And a lot of parents are not teaching their children social skills, which, of course, a lot of the parents today, these kids I'm looking at today are probably, well, I'm old enough to be their grandfather. So they're 2 generations beyond me. So their parents are 1 generation, and those parents are a little bit oblivious to the world as well. Yeah, because they're so busy, doing this, doing that, and the other thing. Well, you had kids, you have a responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility to teach your kid manners. Or is it? Now, I was very tempted to go into an old man rage at them at that point and go, "In my day, Sonny, Sonny, I got on with what things were. I was conscious that there were other people I had to be aware of and show respect." Yeah, that would have gone over like a lead balloon. They would have probably told me, "Hey, old man, why don't you just F off?" So I didn't do that. But the grouchy old man inside of me wanted to do that. But it's not my responsibility to correct their bad behavior. They're not my children. And you can bet if they were parents there and I had done that, I would have been told in no uncertain terms, "Hey, not your kids, go away." Well, then do your job and teach them. Now, are all teenagers this way? No, they are not. I like to think that kids today still, the ones that have been brought up properly, still have some respectful manners. I taught many, many teenagers over many, many decades, and I saw the evolution, or in some cases, de-evolution, of how young people behave. And for the most part, most of the young people that I taught were very nice young people. So I have to keep that in my mind and my focus. And these three boys weren't doing anything evil, really. They were just being a little bit obnoxious. But they're probably three good kids too. I don't know them, so I have no idea. I'm just basing it upon their behavior at that moment in time. And that's what made me feel a little bad. You know, I could have been a little bit more patient, but I wasn't in the mood. And I think it was compounded by the look on the staff member's face too, like, I'm sorry, sir. What can I do? Yeah, I know her hands are tied. Doesn't matter how old the customers are. Um, you know, you're supposed to be dealing with the customer in a friendly, polite, respectful way. So, yeah, kids today, I guess. God, do I sound like an old man? Well, I am an old man. But I blame it on technology. They have too much at their fingertips. Their attention is divided multiple ways around. They don't know what end is up, and they lock themselves away into a very solitary world, and that's not good. Parents need to socialize their children better. Okay, so that takes me to grow lights. Lettuce. Nice crop, got to start eating it. Yep, that's coming along nice. You can see the number of little buggy poos that are stuck there. This is the second grow light. We've got some basil over here, some more lettuce here. I'm not sure. Well, there is some stuff. You can't see it past this yellow thing, but there is some stuff. I think it's lettuce coming up here too. So that's doing okay. Now, speaking of the buggy boos. So thank you, Heidi, one of my subscribers, who recommended what I put in these little containers. I 3D printed it, and that blue part is the top, and it has a hole. And you're supposed to put, well, what I read was some vinegar, water, and some white wine or some wine in this thing, put the lid on, and the buggy boos will be attracted to it and fly down the hole and drown. Well, no, either these are stupid buggy boos or they're very smart or they couldn't find the hole. So once I took the lid off, Walter's suggestion, it worked a little better. But what worked even better was that Heidi recommended putting in a pinch of sugar and a pinch of yeast in there as well with the white wine and the water. So I did that. And as you can see, I've caught a few in there. I have a few more since then too. So this seems to be working out okay. So I have one up by my philodendrons, and I have one out by the tomatoes. And there are the tomatoes. Look at them. They are a beautiful thing. These are working out really well. You've heard me talk about this particular variety. It's called a kitchen tomato plant. It's low growing, so it's perfect under the lights, and we're starting to get a bumper crop from these. And there's lots of other flowers on it. I didn't get it all in the picture, and it's doing really well. So yeah, tomatoes. So I think we're going to start having to eat more bruschetta and do other things with tomatoes. I got to look up. I wonder if you can pickle them. I wonder what they'd be like pickled. So anyways, grow lights are coming along very nicely. Okay, so what's that take me to? New products. Well, I didn't really buy any new products, but I did stock up on filament. And happiness is a cupboard full of filament. So here you can see I'm trying to organize it a little better by color. Blues together, greens together. This way I can also see what I'm lacking. Now, this isn't all the filament. I have filament in my AMSs, and I have 4 AMSs, so that's 16 more spools of filament that are in this room. And I might have an obsession. I am obsessed with fabric. I am also obsessed with filament. So that's the newest thing that I have bought. And now can I print that effing thing? Well, last Monday, Walter went out for lunch with some of the people he used to work with, 3 ladies. And he asked me to put together 3 little gift bags of some of my 3D prints. And I was going to put in some of the Christmas ones, and I did, but he also requested dragons. So I had to make some more dragons. So I did, fine. And one lady, she is Taiwanese background, and she loved the dragon. She's going to give it to one of her 2 grandchildren because her one grandchild that she's giving it to was born in the year of the dragon. And she wanted to know if there was a tiger. So, one thing leads to another. No substitutions, please. Okay. So Walter came home and told me that. So, of course, I did a search and I found a tiger. And this is the tiger that I found. He isn't an articulated one like the dragons. Couldn't find one that was decent in that. But this one took some time to print. I think he was a 13-hour print, and he had a lot of supports on him, and they were a bitch to take off. But I think the end result with the toned, two-tone filament that I used turned out really nice. Now he's got to get it over to her at some point in time. That may not be until they have their next time they get together for lunch, which could be 6 months down the road. So anyways, yeah, made this tiger. And I mentioned that I'm going to a sew day with Walter, to one of his, and I like to take people, when I go to events, me, I like to take some little things. So I thought, I've given this group some things before. So this time, I'm putting these 3 little bits and bobs together. So we have little Santa, little mini Santa on the one side. We have the articulated, or it's actually a fidget toy tree, and it collapses, and you just grab the star and pull it up and it expands out, which is really cool. And this was what they call a print in place print, which means that no assembly required. As soon as it came off the build plate, you could do this with it. And then the other little thing is there's a tea light in the red base, and there's a hole in that base underneath that tree, and you just turn on the tea light and the little tree glows. It's kind of cute. It's just some little things that put them in little Ziploc plastic bags and just give everybody out thing. Yeah, it's kind of stupid. But sometimes people at this time of the year, they like stupid, and I like making them, so what the heck. And this. Now, this is fairly big. This picture doesn't really show the scale of this. I thought it was going to be a tiny little thing. Well, when I started printing it, I realized not so tiny. But I think it's really cute. I didn't intend to make this for a Christmas decoration. I just saw it, thought, oh, let's just try that, see if I can make it. And it turned out really kind of cute and nice. So it is on display. And if you saw Stephen and Walter live yesterday, I showed you where it is upstairs. And I put lights in it. There's LED lights, those little blue and red and yellow little spots, which are kind of cute, dollar store lights. It's on a battery pack, and it's just kind of neat. So, yeah, I thought I was done making Christmas decorations. I wanted to be done making Christmas decorations, and then I keep seeing other cute things. So, yeah, I have to stop. I'm working right now on another one of those Hulu projects, Dracula's Castle, the Haunted Mansion, the Christmas Mansion, the theater, the Gypsy van, and everything like that. Well, I did print out pieces for the Tuscan Villa. I haven't put it together yet. That's something I got to get on with. But in the meantime, I'm printing the pieces for Santa's toy store. And it is so stinking cute. And this is Fulu's latest creation. He had it on sale for 10% off as soon as he released it. Well, I was right there. It was about $30 Canadian. That's not bad. There's a lot of work goes into these, as you've heard me say before, and I don't mean at my end of it. I mean at his end in the designing of it. but it always goes together really easily and really well. And so that's what I'm also working on at this point in time. And maybe this time next week I'll have something more to show you in that line. All right, so yep, I'm working on some other things too, but I will reveal those on a future episode. All right, so that takes me to old video clips from S&W Live, and this one's on drugs, doctors, and our mothers.
I was very pleased. She also asked my mother about any kind of pains, if she thought she had arthritis. Um, my mother held out her hands and said, well, my hands shake a little bit. But my mother was, no, that's not that point. And I think I told you that she told the doctor she thought she had Parkinson's. Everything my father had, my mother has manifested. And I'm pretty sure she doesn't have Parkinson's. They didn't even know if my dad had Parkinson's. They did all these tests and they found nothing. And then they put him on more drugs. And Walter's conclusion was that one of the things that made my father so he couldn't walk anymore was the combination of drugs and everything that he went through, which is probably very much likely.
I wonder if those drugs hindered him more than helped him at the time.
Well, you know, these doctors and these specialists, they're really drug happy. They just assign a drug for everything.
Well, not only that, what they do is they give you a drug, and it's like you never get off the drug. It's like it's there, you're there having it for life type of thing. And then you get something like what happened to my mother. My mother had a drug. She was complaining that her heart was racing. They gave her a drug to slow her heart down, and then what ended up happening is that she got older. She was still taking the same dosage, and all of a sudden her heart started stopping.
Well, that's not good.
And she fell down. She'd fall down, hit the floor, and wake up again.
No.
And I think that contributed to her dementia.
Well, I swear that when my dad had his knees operated on, he had both knees replaced. He had a reaction to the epidermal that they gave him, and they also, but they would never admit to it, but there was some suspicion that my father had suffered several minor microstrokes too. I just know that after he had those operations, he mentally was not right after those. So this whole thing with modern medical science, they really don't know what to do. So having said that, very happy with the occupational therapist. She's also reporting all of this stuff to the woman that'll eventually come out. We know her name now. It's Crystal. That'll come from the organization that basically, interviews the person to put them on a waiting list for a nursing home, which is good. That's why I wanted the occupational therapist, why I got the doctor to order it. And this lady also, this Tammy, was putting down other things like a PSW worker to come in and help her bathe if she needed that. A PSW worker to come in and do some light housekeeping and stuff like that. Now, I know that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because PSWs come in for an hour if you're lucky, every other day or something. It depends. With my father, at the height of it all, when he was bedridden, there was a PSW came in the morning, came in the evening to get him, up in the morning and to put him to bed at night. Basically, help him bathe sometimes in the week. But that was really useless. And then you said your mother had a PSW come in when she was living at home.
Yeah, my mother had a PSW come in, and she was supposed to help her bathe. And the problem with my mother is that she would refuse. Right? She said, I don't really need that. So then anyway, the PSW ended up doing nothing but sit around and talk to her. And my mother just got stinky.
Yeah. Of course, mind you, your mother told her she didn't need it, and they can't force it on anybody. So, But anyways, we'll see what happens with that. And as I said, I still haven't heard from the person that's supposed to come and interview my mother for getting on the list. But then in the meantime, last week, I get a phone call from my mother on about Wednesday. The Tammy was there on the Monday, and she says, well, her doctor's office called and said, I have a neurologist appointment in June in Scarborough. Scarborough is between us and Toronto. And I went, what? Well, who's the doctor? What's their phone number? What time? Well, I just told them that you would contact them and find that all out because, I can't read my own handwriting.
She didn't write anything down.
She doesn't write anything down anyways.
Probably didn't have a pen.
No, and her handwriting's better than my handwriting, so I don't know what her problem is. But anyway, so I tried to call the doctor. Well, first of all, we didn't discuss anything about a neurologist. But I said to my mother, that's because you had to say to the doctor you thought you had Parkinson's. And I said, Mom, you don't have Parkinson's with it. But anyways, so it took 2 days to get a hold of the doctor. And when the doctor calls me back when we were out. And the doctor was kind of a bitchy personality.
That's why you should give them your cell phone.
I know, but I'm old habits landline.
Yeah, old
but,
fart.
Yeah, screw off. Anyways, old fart myself. You're 60.
So events in the past week, well, the big event was getting all my Christmas decorations organized and putting them up. Now you saw what the end result was on Stephen and Walter Live. Well, I'm going to show you my process. I made a little video of how I get things ready and decide where I'm going to place everything. So I'm going to insert that video here right now. So this is day one of putting up my Christmas decorations. Last year I cleaned out a lot of my Christmas decorations and threw them out because they were ratty, they were broken or whatever. And I just threw out a few more here of 3D prints that I did when I first got my first 3D printers, and they're pretty primitive. So I got rid of that lot. And this is what I'm left with. Now some of this stuff might get tossed as well, but I'll just show you. So I said this was day one. Day one consisted of me this morning getting into the crawl space and pulling out all of these boxes that are down here. And now it's the afternoon, and stage two is basically I have these folding tables set up in the rec room and I'm organizing things. So I've got trees, angels, in the hoop projects, gingerbread houses and nutcrackers and angels. And then I have a miscellaneous pile of sock hangers and little knickknacks that I collected over the years that don't mean a heck of a lot. I'm not even sure where they came from. I probably saw them in a dollar store or something and thought they were cute. Some of these may go as well. This thing I made the container and it needs a little fluffing. I don't know if I'll keep it. I might, it's pretty, but it needs to be a little bit refreshed. I have these that came from Hallmark and I won't get rid of those. They play a little music. They were all the rage back 20 years ago. My mother used to collect them. She had several of them. In fact, I don't know if I bought this one myself or it was one of my mother's. I think my sister has my mother's, but I'm not sure. Oh, it's still got batteries in it from last year. That's kind of fun. And can I turn it off? Yeah, there we go. Then I've got good old Homer. I bought him as a joke, but I thought that might be fun. And then Augie Doggy has been with me for many, many years. I bought him, I think, when we lived in the old house. So it's over 30 years ago that I've had him. And if I squeeze his paw right, there he goes. He plays 3 little short tunes. But like I said, I've had him for 30 years. I'm not getting rid of Augie Doggy. And I probably can't turn him off. He has to wait till he wears down from that. Yeah. So Augie Doggy has finished. Then I have about 4 candle rings. I've had these forever that I just throw around my fake battery-powered candles. This is all for the Christmas tree. There's the Christmas tree in the box. These are my picks, my angel for the top, all my lights, my bulbs, everything like that. And of course, this year I will be premiering this 3-year-old project where I made the skirt runner. And you've heard about it, but I did finish it earlier this year. So this is where the Christmas tree is going to go. It's just a short little one. It fits right here. Nutcrackers, as you can see, have not been put outside yet. Walter's still working on the outdoor lights and decorations. He just went off the Canadian Tire. He had to get something, heaven only knows what. Now this is my collection of garland.
Now, I used to have a big, huge garland that I would put over there by the TV set along the ledge below the TV, and it all lit up and things like that. And I had that for a long time, but every year it gets a little bit more bare because the fake needles on it fall off and they're a bitch. It also blocks the remote control for the uh, iTunes TV, and Walter bitches about that every time it's up too. But I thought, yeah, this year, nope, it's gone to the garbage. It's had it. So it's the end of that. So as I said, all of these are plastic garland and poinsettias, which will go as accent pieces in and out and amongst all this other garland. Some Christmas socks we've had for a while, nothing too special. Thought about making new socks this year, but yeah, I don't think I've got time. I've got some cheap doilies. I don't know if I'll do with them. They probably should go in the garbage. This was my Christmas tree skirt. I'm not going to get rid of that because that looks really nice on a table. It's round. So there's all of that. So I have everything laid out. Now I have to decide where it's going to go. Now I did put up earlier today just to get them out of my hair, and I know where they go because I still have the hooks for them. So this, I made this many years ago. It's a Rebecca Robson design. She's a big interior designer, and if you look for her on YouTube, you will see that she goes overboard at Christmas. Like, I mean, really overboard. But this is something made from the pages of an old book. And it's getting a little ratty, but I still put it up every year. I can't bear to part with it because it took me a little time to make it. And yeah, it's there. It's rustic. Another wreath over top of the fireplace. I'm debating. I usually put two of my in the hoop thread painted quilts on either side of that. I'm not sure if that's where they're going to go this year. Probably will because they only come out once a year, and they took a long time to make, and I really did like them. There's the ceramic Christmas tree goes in over there. I haven't got it out yet. Just remembered that now. And I've got some other wreaths, bathroom door, and the doors into the Lucy room. They're ratty. Should I buy new wreaths to put on those doors? I don't know. You know, these were cheap wreaths when I bought them, and I don't want to spend an arm and a leg on wreaths. I've got two on the doors upstairs looking out a little better. And there's another wreath upstairs that I made out of wine corks. I'll show that to you in a coming video a little later on. But anyways, so I have everything organized here. Now I have to figure out where it's going to go. And with having a lot of people here for dinner, I have to be careful what I put on my dining room table so I can easily remove it. I've used the dining room table as a staging area for decorations years before when we weren't really going to use the dining room table, but this year we are. So last year I made this, and I need to blow the dust off it a little bit, but it's kind of a mishmash of bits and pieces, 3D printed things, little picks and whatnot. I think it's kind of pretty, maybe a little juvenile. It's all mounted, it's glued gunned to death onto this tray below it, and that will probably be on my dining room table as a centerpiece, and I can probably leave it on the table when I set the table for dinner. So there, I've killed two birds with one. I've got a nice Christmas decoration when we're not really using the dining room, and it'll serve as a centerpiece when we are. So yeah, so the next plan, and I'm not going to do this today. This is all I'm doing today. That's enough. Tomorrow, I'm going to start placing things. And I don't know, I may start with putting up the tree. The tree takes a while because, yeah, I got to put all the balls on it. Thank God it's a pre-lit tree. But yeah. And yeah, that's my life at the moment. Christmas, bah humbug. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention. In all of these that are here, these two gray bags and this white bag, these are all Christmas quilts I've made over the last few years, and some wall hangings and table runners and things like that. And yeah, am I going to put them all out this year? I don't know. I think I might be selective, and I'll put out only the ones I really like the best. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. But that's another thing. I have to pull those all out and see what I've got in here. Yeah, not today. And of course, Walter was busy decorating the outside of the house, and we have a kangaroo. Yes, we do. There he is,
Santa riding the kangaroo. Actually, it's a little bit rude. It's a rude roo. Look at the look on Santa's face. Look at the look on the kangaroos. I can't help but think that whoever put this together and made it had a little bit of a dirty mind. Or maybe it's just me. But we'll take a look at the front of the kangaroo and the candy cane. Say no more, say no more. So there's all of Walter's Candyland looking things. He's got his suckers. Those are new this year. The candy canes he's had for a while, but it all looks very nice at night, all lit up because the kangaroo lights up too. And of course, you can see over in the far corner one of my 2 nutcrackers that I 3D printed. And that's the only pictures I have right now. I should take a picture of what the house looks like when it's dark out, and maybe I'll do that one day this week and have it for you for next week. So anyways, all the decorations are up, and that's a good thing. That's a weight off my shoulders. Now I can put other weights on my shoulders, like getting together all of my Christmas gifts, my Christmas bags that I'm giving to the ladies at Ultimate Sewing. And I have other gifts like for my hairdresser, and I have a gift for the neighbors, and I have a gift for the people that are coming this week. And that's another thing that's coming up this week. We have our friends from Toronto that we get together with them about twice a year on average. So one time at their place in Toronto, one time at our place here, and they're coming for the weekend. So we have things to get ready for that. We've got to feed them, wine them and dine them, so to speak, and everything like that, and it'll be good to see them. So that's coming up. And down the road, next pop-up sew day will be on December the 20th. And let's get festive for that one, because we're 5 days away from Christmas Day at that point. There'll be more details about it coming out the week before, so stay tuned. And final note, the Missouri Star Quilting Company box, Jenny's box, the Advent box, the Christmas box. There's many names for the damn box. Okay, well, we've opened it. And when I say we, it's Walter and I. And come this Friday, December the 5th, the first of 5 videos will be released. The first 5 days of the unboxing will be up by 7 o'clock this Friday, December the 5th. And that's 7 o'clock in the morning. So you can see the first 5 days. I didn't want to put it up every day because that's too much work. Yeah. I also want to make sure I didn't spoil it for anybody, because there are lots of people that get that box and they like to open it like it's intended to be open, one gift each day. So I didn't want to kill their anticipation and surprise. So we've done the videos in chunks of 5. So Friday will be days 1, December 1st to December 5th. 5 days later, on the 10th, will be the 6th to the 10th day. The 15th, you get the idea. Okay, so those videos, if you have your bell turned on, you may or may not get a notification, because that bell doesn't work that well. But anyways, that it's going to be every 5th day, so you can find them in the playlist that has So Chatty videos on it, because that's what we're putting them in. But they are separate videos from So Chatty videos. We're doing those separate. This is a whole separate thing. And I will give you one spoiler alert. We're not that impressed. That's all I'm going to say. You can be the judge for yourself. But anyways, it should be fun. Be sure to, we tried to make it fun when we did it. So check those videos out as they come out. As I said, the first one comes out this Friday, December the 5th. Okay, well, that's it for me today. I hope everybody has a great week. Tune in tomorrow for the Idiot Quilter, and then on Friday for So Chatty, I think we're going to be talking about death and fabric. There's a teaser. And of course, Stephen and Walter live as usual on Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. So have a good one. See you later. Bye-bye.